Hey everybody, welcome back to Alley Oop here at Wolf TV. I'm Jack. I've got Dylan and Ethan with me today. Ethan makes his return to the game, and we've got a good one for you today. Obviously, there was a little bit of a shakeup in the AP poll this past week, and so we decided to take a look at the history of the AP poll in college basketball. It's been around since 1948. But they only did the top 20 until the late 80s. Then they made it the top 25, which makes sense because when does anyone ask for a top 20?
Yeah,
But now I don't know. Maybe things were different back then.
Then.
Maybe. Yeah.
That's a good point.
Who knows? So anyway, I've got some good questions for you guys today, and we'll see who wins. So first question. Obviously, this week, Michigan soared in the AP poll, jumping from unranked to the number 4 spot. This tied the biggest rise in AP poll history. Which blue blood program also made a jump of that magnitude? This is a
one or the other.
statistic. I don't know what to call it. A statistic that was thrown around quite a bit this week. We'll see how much you guys were paying attention.
Well, some of us were studying and doing
it's
classwork.
That time of year. Yeah,
Not you.
Of course, right? Some things are more
I was talking
important.
about Dylan.
All right, let's see what you got here. Kentucky, Kansas. It is Kansas. So Dylan's off to a 1-0 lead.
Come on.
Thought better about Kansas. Thought they'd always be ranked. Come on,
It was
man.
Kansas back in 1989.
1989.
So-
Who's their coach at that end? Oh, come on, man. I expect you to know those things.
Ill prepared.
So Michigan's jump in the rankings was the biggest since 2010-2011 when a team jumped from unranked to number 7. That team went on to win the national championship that season. Who was that team?
What was the year?
2010-2011. So it was the 2011 tournament. I'm ready to throw out some hints for you guys if you want, or
Do we want a hint?
I think you need one. so
Okay,
go ahead.
yeah. You know, he's right. I do need one. I got
Okay.
the first question wrong.
this
true.
was a team with a point guard who really rose to prominence
Okay,
in
that's who I thought.
a postseason
Yeah.
tournament. He had a nice step back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
And you know, Michael Jordan. Come on. man.
Oh my
2010
God.
Mi-
I'm blanking
2010
on who
Michael
you played for.
Jordan.
I'm so.
No, that's
This
all.
is
I really
embarrassing.
didn't need the hint. I had it in my mind.
right,
But
yeah,
Oh, wow.
of course.
This
They
is
beat
embarrassing.
Kentucky in that national
oh,
championship
well,
game.
yeah.
They beat Kentucky.
okay.
All right, I'm gonna give you 3 seconds.
All right, I'm gonna let Ethan get a point up just so we
Okay.
can get back.
Ethan says UConn.
I'm gonna go college basketball.
College basketball is wrong. Actually, the answer is UConn. So Ethan ties it up at 1 through 2 questions.
That happens.
All right, lot of points on the board for this question. Michigan has appeared as the number 2 team in the country in 37 different AP polls since the late 40s.
Shout out John Beeline.
That's the 6th most of any program.
6 months.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. All right.
6 months.
So name the top 5.
That appeared number 2.
Yeah, that have been number 2. Now, you know, at first it sounds hard, but then it's actually, you know, number 2. It isn't number 1, but it's still pretty good. So, you know, you can only put 4, but, 5 points are on the board here.
So which team is worth 2 points?
None of them.
None of them?
Why?
I don't get
That
this.
doesn't
Yeah, I don't know. If
sense.
you can't come up with 5 answers, then you would only put 4, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
you. I got you.
But you're incentivized to guess 5 teams. This is like the weird gimmick on your final exam where you can maybe squeeze out a bonus point. 5 teams ahead. Michigan 37 times at number 2. And the team that's just above Michigan in the rankings 77 times at number 2, 40 more. So that's actually a pretty big gap between
These are
Michigan and the top 5. How we doing over there?
I'm doing wonderful.
All
These
right.
are
we're
my
good.
5 answers.
Okay, so Dylan says Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, Virginia. Ethan says UCLA, Duke, Carolina, Kentucky, Syracuse. You each get 4. So it's UCLA, Carolina, Duke, Kansas, Kentucky.
Makes sense.
All right, so we're tied.
I'm not guessing Kansas.
We're
today,
tied at
that's for
5
sure.
after 3 questions. That was supposed to be one that really broke the tie, but all right.
Yeah.
Deadlocked. Question
Love it.
4. Michigan's only national championship came in 1989. What was their preseason ranking that season? This is going to be multiple choice.
Okay, I
Yep, go
appreciate
ahead.
that.
Okay. 3, 7, 11-15. What was their preseason ranking? The year they won the national championship. 3-7-11-15.
Probably what you did with the whole 7-Eleven kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I don't think he did that. I think that was just.
Yeah, it was more just increments of 4. Okay. 11-15. The answer was actually 3. They had high hopes at the beginning of the season, unlike this year's team.
I thought you were going to pull
But
out
this
something
year's
nuts.
team has jumped right in, and of course they have won the Bad Boy Mowers Battle for the Bahamas, which means they are kind of a lock to win the national championship.
Well,
The
yeah.
last
I
two
mean, if you
national
look at
champions.
history.
Yeah, if you look at history. So, and that's what we're
Never
doing in
lies.
this game. All right, 20 AP polls came out last season. How many of them had Michigan in the top 25? Out of 20 polls last season, how many of them were Michigan in the top 25? Gotta do a little
Last
thinking
season.
back to Grandpa, Coach B,
In the
Ignis
top-
Brazdeikis.
in the top 25 or the top?
Top 25.
25.
This is last year?
Yeah, last season. 20 polls throughout the course of the season. This includes the preseason rankings. 20 polls. The preseason rankings after, of course, Michigan had been to the national championship. But, of course, Michigan was a 2 seed last year, and they did not find themselves in the preseason rankings this year. All right, do you guys have guesses? Ethan says 13 out of 20. 20 out of 20 is right.
Easy.
Every poll, they were in it.
I felt it.
So
Felt that trick
Dylan
question.
takes a 6-5 lead. 2 questions to go. All right, we talked about number 2 in the rankings, but which team has spent the most time at number 1 in the rankings? The history of the AP poll. Ethan with a quick answer. Dylan taking a little more time to think.
I think it's between 2.
Okay. Let's see what you got. Kansas, Duke. We are tied at 6 with 1 question to go. And oh boy, if we get to the tiebreaker question. All right. So we're talking about the all-time top 100 in the AP poll. So they averaged out everyone's rankings over time, and they came up with an all-time top 100. Out of all of the teams who have been number 1 at some point, 1 team was not in the all-time top 100. 1 school. Can you name that school? 1979 was the year they reached number 1.
79.
Takes
I
me-
remember, I
takes
remember
me back.
1979 like it was yesterday.
Yeah,
but
you got to think. They're not in the all-time top 100,
That's part of it.
and they've got an all-time legend on their team. A legend. Legend might even be in his nickname. All right, good on both of you. Indiana State is the answer, so we get to the crazy tiebreaker question. On the archive of AP polls, we'll go Price is Right rules here. On the archive of AP polls, there are a bunch of categories. Who's been number 2 versus number 1? That's where I came up with these questions. But one of the categories was interesting. How many times has Wichita State been ranked ahead of Kansas in the top 25? Price is Right rules.
Price is right.
Give me a guess.
Ever?
All
Price is
time.
right.
How
rule.
many AP polls? How many AP? We won't go Price is Right rules. We'll
All
go
right.
Just
whoever's
close.
closest. Yeah. All time.
That's gonna
how
involve
many
some
times
math.
has-
Do you got
have the
that?
Shockers been ahead of the Jayhawks?
Let's see.
I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to throw out a number because you really can't think about this question. Pretty good guess. What do you got? 59,
Oh.
2?
Oh, that was supposed
No,
to be.
what did you say?
I just said 1.
Oh, 1. All right. It's 67, actually. So,
Wait,
yeah.
Kansas. I misread.
Yeah, Kansas Jayhawks.
We're gonna cut that.
Well, Ethan takes it in the tiebreaker. That was certainly a lot closer than I expected. You guys did a good job. There were some tough questions today. So Ethan with a win heading into the holiday break. And that's all we got for you on this segment today. But be sure to check out everything else we have here at Alley Oop.